All right, you're live.
All right. Good evening to the audience here as well as those watching us digitally. This time we're going to call the meeting of the Police Commission's Accountability Committee meeting to order. Before we get started, I'd like to have Jerry Prim, who's our host today, say a few words. Thank you.
I don't have a whole heck of a lot to say. Just want to thank you all for coming. This facility is run by Digital C, so I want to say thank you to Digital C. For those who don't know, they provide internet service at 100 up and 100 down for $18 a month for the city of Cleveland residents. One of the things I love to talk about is they have a young black CEO who's extremely innovative. So outside of that, I would like to say just thank you for coming.
And we'd like to thank you for hosting us. All right. At this time, before we convene our meeting officially by calling the roll, co-chair.
Okay, so I'm going to read the meeting decorum. This meeting of the Cleveland Community Police Commission is a lawful meeting under section 605.04 of the codified ordinance. No person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any in which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public are invited to speak in accordance with the public comment rules. Disruptions, including but not limited to speaking out of turn and or making loud utterances or that interferes with the due conduct of this lawful meeting may constitute as a misdemeanor and a violation of section 605.04. If this meeting is disrupted, the chair will call for a recess and the room will be cleared. Persons who violate the city ordinance and commit misdemeanors may be subject to prosecution. When this body is able to return from recess, then in compliance with the Ohio Open Meeting Act and section 605.04, we will re-enter the room and the meeting will continue. Thank you.
All right, once again, welcome. Let's call the roll. Mike McKay.
Present.
Sheila Mason. Chief Sheila Mason.
Present.
James Truro is excused. Ms. Sandra Guerrero Benito.
Present.
And Michael Nelson, present. We have a quorum. Before we actually begin the formal business of our meeting, I'm going to take a moment of silence because all of us were impacted by those who we were on September 11th, 2001. Thank you very much. Today, our agenda is as follows. It's been provided to each and every one of you. We would like the commission members to take a look at it. And as it has the opportunity to take a look at it, we've asked for a motion to adopt our agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Properly moved and seconded. We call the roll. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mr. Benito.
Aye.
And I, Michael Nelson, also vote aye. All right. This time we're going to skip our normal protocol for a moment. I'm going to ask for the registered staff to come to the microphone along with
Alicia
Curtin. The body will be showing a special presentation of the district staff, and Alicia Curtin will be introducing the.
Hello, everybody. Okay, my name is Brenda Baker. My brother Clay Baker was killed by police January 26, 2002. And I'm among 100 families of people that were killed by police in the city of Cleveland. So I'm gonna let Alicia do herself.
My name is Alicia Kurtzman, and the mother of Angela Hurley. My son was murdered 18 years ago by Cleveland police, March 23rd, 2007. It's rough. This commission board means a lot to families, like myself, Brenda, and others. I believe Brenda's probably over 100 families in the city. So.
And the issue, the reason why we put this charter together was so the community, not just the families, but the community moving forward can have justice and some type of accountability. So this commission is very important, it's very critical to the public. So the people know, hey, they have a chance to be able to be heard, and it's not just the police waving their hand like, I killed your loved one and I'm getting away with it. So that's why we did what we did. So we're gonna, go ahead.
Other families don't have to endure what we endure. You know, we stood alone, no accountability, and no investigation. So that's why the commission board is very important to us. So it can be due process. So we thank you.
And there's gonna be a little clip here that you're gonna look at. It's an example of what we worked on to get paid. So sit back and watch. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Put in context the relationship between particularly the African American community and the police. We'll have to actually go all the way back to slavery because that is where that relationship is rooted. It is a legacy and it's just a continuation of the history of that relationship.
We know that there have been a number of families who unfortunately have lost their loved ones to police-involved shootings. Even 20 years ago, there's folks like Brenda Bickerstaff lost her brother Craig Bickerstaff 20 years ago, who has been fighting to figure out how to actually bring real accountability in the city.
Accountability and accountability and get rid of dirty cops. That's the end game. We created issue 24, Charter 115.
The police union says it fully intends to fight this in court.
You can tell me what they have done positive. They've got more discipline. Our morale is down. We have the department being ran more by outside citizens.
The consent decree is here, and they're still killing people. Issue 24 has, and they're still killing people.
We have this federal consent decree that's supposed to bring this change that we're talking about. And then we had every institution required to effectuate that change actively fighting against it.
It's not anything unique to Cleveland or Cincinnati or Columbus. You have to look at the culture within policing.
They've been trying to get reform in the city of Cleveland. The first black mayor, Carl Stokes, tried it. No reform.
Reform isn't enough because to me that suggests that at some prior state these agencies performed in a manner that was appropriate. We need to transform that relationship.
We keep asking the same questions that we continue to ask them until there is change. The work remains. This work is bigger than any one person. It's bigger than any one race. It is bigger than any one lifetime.
Our ancestors, they didn't give up. Each generation has a responsibility to help address the present issues and try to eradicate them.
All right, thank you. So that's, you got the first public presentation of a trailer of a documentary in the spring of 2026. All right. Thank you, Brenda and Alicia. Sam, you know how to get it off the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now we return to our agenda. This time, the next few minutes, we're going to engage in, for the public, this is the public's opportunity. To the public, you heard the quorum rules, but we're asking you to make your comments regarding the issues of the day. This is not attack time, this is not calling names time. This is for you to have your public comment about the issues of the day. I don't want anybody calling by a liar or calling by your name. But, be respectful and be respectful of the time. 3 minutes, and at the end of your 3 minutes, the timekeeper will indicate that your time is up. You have to abruptly stop. Okay, but we're going to give you opportunity to have an unfettered, uninterrupted chance to speak on the issues of the day and whatever's going to concern you. The first person, this is now, where's our public comment? Okay, Mr. Brenda Bickerstaff. Brenda, the floor is yours.
Okay, so,
You have the microphone?
no, does this mic work?
Yes, very well.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go straight to it. I know the evidentiary manual is ready, from my understanding. So what date are you gonna start hearing cases? That's what I wanna know. And I think the public wants to know that too. The date of when you're gonna start. And I hope you start immediately, because it's been a while. And they're just getting ready for it.
Any other comments, public comments? Anyone else? All right. If there's anyone who wishes to make a comment that did not sign up, we're going to be sort of liberal tonight. So if you didn't sign up, we're still going to give you an opportunity to make public comment. Please identify yourself and.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gerald Houston, and the only thing I would like to add is this. I believe we have all the right members sitting on this panel. The community is depending on you guys to do the best that you can do with the circumstances that we're all faced with in our communities that we deal with every day. And please stay focused to your agenda at all times, because the citizens of Cleveland are counting on you guys. This is a very important podium that you guys are in charge of, and we believe in you guys. And I just hope that we can get this through, and we can get our Cleveland police in compliance for their safety and the community safety. So I want to thank each and every last one of you, because I know this is a little more strainful on you guys than what you anticipated. And I appreciate each and every last one of your attention and efforts and anything that you do to help this city come into compliance. So I want to thank you guys for that.
We have a few more minutes in our public comment period. If there's anyone else who wishes to speak, we'll add your name to the list. Anyone else wish to speak tonight in the public comment section of our meeting? Going once, going twice, going 2.3 and a half. We really want you to have this opportunity. Ms. Bickerstaff.
Okay, so this is what I want to say. I want you guys to be more forceful when it comes to running your meeting, meaning that you are in charge. You are charged with the power from the voters of the people to be in charge. So you need to come up with some type of resolution, some type of plan. So when disruption happens, you handle it. Handle it. Handle it. Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Bolden, we're going to put your name down to speak at another point in the course of the meeting. Okay? All right. So I have to make sure I'm there. All right. The first item on our agenda is a brief overview of our 2025 CPC .001 and committee disposition and that will be presented by our interim director. In fact, this may respond to some of the questions you asked about when we're going to start hearing the obituary and everything else. At this time, we're going to call on our interim executive director, Alex. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. This is an overview of the case that was previously presented to this committee on July 31st, 2025. So I'll try and keep it brief, but I would like to explain it to members of the community, along with the disposition that the Accountability Committee issued as a result of the initial presentation. This case stems from a citizen-initiated complaint by an individual named Bias. Ms. Bias submitted her complaint to OPS, Office of Professional Standards, making various allegations that stem from an execution of a search warrant by the CBP. The allegations that resulted from the investigation of her complaint consisted of three administrative charges, essentially. The first charge was alleged violation of GPO 2.02.02, improper search and seizure. The second alleged violation was a violation of Manual Rules 5.01 and 5.08 and 5.09, which essentially is unprofessional behavior and unprofessional conduct of an officer. And the third and last one was she alleged was biased policing, which essentially is that the officers took certain inappropriate action based upon protected characteristics. The complaint was investigated by OPS investigators. The investigation consisted of Garrity interviews with the officers, interviews with the complainant, review of body cam footage available, along with any review of documentary evidence such as the police report, the search warrant, the affidavit appended to the search warrant, and some other items as well. The case was presented by OPS staff to CPRB, which is the Citizen Police Review Board. On May 13th, 2025, the Civilian Police Review Board accepted the findings of OPS's investigation, which were as follows. One, the officer was found to be exonerated for alleged violation of the search and seizure protocol as contained in GPO 2.02.02. Two, the allegations of unprofessional behavior and conduct under the manual rules were determined to be unfounded. And three, the allegation of bias-free policing, GPO 1.07.08, was determined to be unfounded as well. As part of her due process rights, she then appealed the matter to CPC. The appeal culminated in this case assessment pursuant to the rules in effect at the time in the CPC's Operations and Procedures Manual. We're now operating under a separate set of rules, so this process might look a little different moving forward, but this was operating under the set of rules back in July of 2025. Upon my independent review and investigation of the matter, which consisted of reviewing the evidence and materials by OPS, which was transmitted to CPC, I found that the findings were appropriate. Specifically, there was no evidence to support the claim that it was an improper search and seizure. The evidence consisted of a search warrant that was executed by a common pleas judge. The common pleas judge signed the search warrant via his nickname, Bill, rather than William. That I found was legally, had no bearing on the legality of the search warrant. In addition, the search warrant was supported by probable cause. It was supported by an affidavit attached to the search warrant that was then executed by the judge. The second allegation of unprofessional behavior and unprofessional conduct, in my independent review, was determined to be unfounded as well. The officer's interactions with the complainant and generally did not rise to any level of unprofessionalism. There were some remarks that were sort of extraneous remarks that were not made in front of the complainant, that had no impact, frankly. And the third allegation of bias-free policing, I found based upon my independent review of the evidence, was not supported by any of that evidence. There was no evidence to support that the officers were taking certain action or inaction based upon the individual's protected demographics. Notwithstanding those three allegations, upon my independent review of the matter, I found a potential issue that was not investigated or determined by OPS. That determination was what is colloquially known as Miranda rights. So what happened between the officer and Ms. Bias was one of the detectives, Miranda, questioned Ms. Bias and Mirandized her. There was some back and forth dialogue initially, and then Ms. Bias unambiguously invoked her right to remain silent. Number one. Maybe a minute later, well, after she unambiguously invoked her right to remain silent, the officer ceased questioning. Less than a minute or so later, the officer then re-questioned her. She then re-invoked her Miranda rights. Upon some time later, the officer then questioned her a little bit more. The law pertaining to Miranda has been in place for quite some time. Since 1975, the law has been that once an individual unambiguously invokes the right to remain silent, the officer must scrupulously honor that. Now, what does scrupulously honor mean? It's based upon a variety of factors, but the main factor is that you must wait for a significant passage of time before reinitiating questioning of that individual. That, in my opinion, did not occur here. That was not investigated by OPS. It was not determined by OPS or CPRB. My recommendation through this case assessment to the Accountability Committee was to remand the matter back to OPS for an investigation of whether the policies in place at the time of the alleged misconduct were violated, and the policies being Miranda and its progeny and any associated administrative policies of the CDP. At the July 31st, 2025 Accountability Committee meeting, the Accountability Committee made two decisions. First, the committee determined not to move forward with the appeal of Ms. Bias based upon the three allegations that were determined to be exonerated and or unfounded by OPS, and based upon my independent review of the matter as well. However, notwithstanding my recommendation that the committee move to remand the matter pertaining to the potential Miranda violations back to OPS for reinvestigation, the Accountability Committee determined that the proper course of action would be to refer the issue and the matter to the training committee of the CPC for the training committee to determine whether there's some training that needs to be conducted at the departmental level to ensure that something like this does not happen again. The training committee of the CPC will be reviewing that referral at its September 17th meeting. Thank you.
Before I entertain questions from the committee members, Alex, you didn't explain that what we looked at. We actually looked at, and we did it in public, at a public meeting, the evidence that we actually looked at.
Sure. I appended a variety of documents to the assessment that you guys have for purposes of saving paper. We didn't print out all those, but some of the evidence consisted of, like I mentioned, body cam footage, the search warrant issued by the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas judge, the OPS investigative report, the CPRB disposition, of course, the citizen complaint, along with the Garrity interview that I reviewed, that all the commissioners and the committee had access to, in addition to the interview of the complainant as well.
And we spent a great deal of time looking at the video. Chief Mason, myself, I think our office manager, as well as the public people, the public members, the members of the public who were present at that meeting at that time. And the video was extensive, unedited, and after looking at that video, we made our recommendation. Now, to committee members, I know there were some questions that when we presented this to the full body. Does anyone have any questions or matters they want to discuss from the commission?
Reiterate, we hadn't had what we felt was an adequate time as a full commission to have reviewed it and make a decision, you know, in sound mind and feel comfortable. Not that we don't trust our fellow committee members, and I am on this committee and didn't have an opportunity to look at it because I missed that meeting. But I think with the information that has been presented to us now and having had the time since our last meeting to review it, that we could probably make a far more informed and sound decision at our next meeting. I think we're all comfortable at this point.
To the committee members and to the executive director, do we need to vote again to recommend that they to make the same recommendation to the full committee, or do we just need to present at the full committee what we've already voted? That's a question from the chair to the members of the commission. Ms. Benito, Marino.
We've already presented it at the full commission meeting. I think they just said that the commission, said they wanted more time to review it, so I don't think that we would re-present it unless we asked them to. I do think that, Commissioner Kincaid wasn't at the meeting when we discussed this, and so I do think that it is possible we could have a discussion about remanding the issue of rating of the Miranda rights. The possibility we could reopen, especially because it hasn't been set to the full commission yet.
To the co-chairs, I would hope that the information is sufficient for the co-chairs so that when the meeting is held again, is there any questions, are any questions or any hesitancy on behalf of the co-chair?
Yeah. To the chair, both, Dr. Adams and I were at that first meeting, so we were ready to go in that last meeting. So if all of the members of accountability are ready to move forward, then we are as well, and it does not need to be voted on again. We could just bring it up in, during your accountability report.
To Commissioner Miller, I know you're not on this committee, but you are on the training committee. Is there any hesitancy or any, do you have sufficient information that this is presented that you could affirm it?
Yes, it's on our agenda for the 17th.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, seeing that the feeling of the commission is that the presentation would just be reiterated, we don't have to re-vote, we'll move on to the next item, okay? All right. Next item, Roddy Giglio Subcommittee Report, Ms. Benito Mason. Did I say your name right? Oh, I messed up your name. And Chief Mason.
So Chief Mason and I are on the discipline group. Would you like us to get both?
Yes, why don't you get both? Before you go, let me acknowledge some guests we have. This is the first time we've ever had a meeting where we have two police chiefs. Chief Mason and her mentor, Chief Guyton, retired Chief Mitchell Guyton. Welcome and thank you for attending our meeting. We also are pleased to have the president of the Cleveland branch NAACP, Mr. Will Tarter, and we're also pleased to have one of the executive members of the Cleveland branch NAACP, Donna Kelso Nelson. Thank you both for attending our meeting today, and Ms. Charlotte Perkins, who just survived a difficult primary. Congratulations. This is not an endorsement, this is just a congratulations. So I don't want anybody to run out here, Chairman Nelson said that he endorsed Charlotte Perkins. Thank you for attending our meeting today, for your interest in this very, very important issue. And we've already thanked all of our guests, and we're just so glad you are here tonight. Thank you. You could be somewhere else on this beautiful, beautiful evening, like at the golf course. Anyway, moving right on. Moving right on to our subcommittee chairs.
Yeah, so there are two, subcommittees,
Can you turn on your mic?
Oh, I see, sorry, it was on, but the volume was set to 0, so not super useful. We have two subcommittees in this, from this, or work group, we call them, in this committee. Commissioner Mason and I are on one, and then the other one is staffed by, Commissioner Chair, who's not here tonight, and still awaiting a second member, that will likely come from the full commission, that I can give the report on his behalf. But Commissioner Mason and I are doing a discipline work group through which we will be reviewing all of the discipline decisions that come through CDP with the intent of being able to flag cases to bring to this committee to determine if we want to request the case file. So the first step in the commission hearing a case either comes from two ways, either a member of the public coming to us and saying, hey, I have a complaint, I want you to look into this case, and in that situation, case number is given, the executive director requests the case file, and then as interim executive director Nuruddin just presented, then creates the case report and then brings it to the committee for review and for a vote. The other way that can happen is through the commission itself. So any member of the commission or a member of the committee can say, hey, we saw this discipline decision, we have some concerns about it, we want to open a case. And so the second pathway is what this work group would do is make sure that we have eyes on every single discipline decision that is coming through, so that if there's something that is a discrepancy or a discipline decision that was made fell below what the discipline should have been, or there are concerns about it, we're able to off the jump make a request a case file and look at that decision. So as Ms. Bickerstaff just recently said, now that we have our evidentiary hearing manual, we will start actually hearing cases and potentially making discipline decisions or overturning discipline decisions. So we anticipate that this committee will be very busy. And one of the things is the union contract has some limitations around discipline can only be given 2 years after an incident. So one thing that we're looking at in this work group is starting at looking all of the discipline decisions starting in 2023 to try to catch any cases that might soon pass that deadline. And then we'll make our way forward. So we have started a discipline tracker that looks at all the kind of details of the discipline and also identifies whether the discipline that was given, whether CPRB decisions were overridden or not, and also whether the discipline that was given is within the matrix. And the matrix is essentially the code that the police are supposed to follow that says, hey, if you do this wrong, this is the punishment you're going to receive. And so there are sometimes the discipline is given where it's under the threshold of the matrix, and that's where we're especially interested in, because in our opinion, that discipline should be looked at as to why it was under what the policy says. And so we will be meeting in the next week or so to get going on this process and to start identifying cases and bringing them to the committee. The second work group, and I'm not a member of it, but I can give a little update. So the charter gives us the responsibility of, and I'm just going to quote it, soliciting, gathering, compiling, organizing, maintaining, and generally updating information on individual police officers whose career records or personal history merit designation or disclosure even reasonably arguably advisable under Brady v. United States or Giglio v. United States. So these are officers that have things that would impugn their credibility in a court of law. And that information must be made to, that's something that must be disclosed to defense attorneys so that they can argue if testimony that's being made against them, if potentially there's an argument that that's not credible testimony. So each different prosecutor's office, police department kind of manages that list in a different way, and it's not transparent. When we met, when the committee first started about 2.5 years ago,
we met with the county prosecutor and the city prosecutor's office, and they were honestly a little cagey about how they make the list, if it developed internally or they just take names from the police department. There's not any sharing of that information, and so I think that what was really important about what the framers did when they put this in is we will be making a transparent public list that then will be able to be seen by the community and more transparent.
What did you say about the framers did what time?
Yes, so you did the right thing. That it was a good thing that you put this in.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're like double checking. Yeah, no, that you did a really important thing by putting this in, because it will be, I think, one of the first times that there's a Brady Giglio list out there that's public and transparent. So, but in order for us to meet this charter directive, we need to be able to identify which officers should be on this list, and that is really up to us in terms of how we're going to do that. So we've had some discussion as a committee of how we want to do that, and we're still in the process of developing what that will look like. But one of the first steps that we'll be doing is, so the discipline work group, which is made up of Commissioner Mason and also Co-Chair Adams and we are going to try to identify some of these cases as we are going through the discipline records to flag them for the Brady Giglio work group. Then that work group is, we have a coding protocol that the previous work group under the previous commission developed. We are making some changes to that, and then in our next meeting, I'm hoping that I'm working on updating it based on some of our discussions, and then we will bring that to the committee to kind of finalize, and then hopefully get some more people on that work group. It's also possible that some community members might be able to be a part of that, so that's something that we're still in the process of discussing. But in general, that is some of the work that the work group work groups are doing. This is very much a working board, the CPC. All the commissioners are working really hard and doing boots on the ground work on this, and I look forward to us being able to bring some cases forward and for this committee to be really active in reviewing not just the biggest cases or just the cases where somebody has the capacity to make a complaint to us, but really to be watching the disciplines as they happen in real time and to catch them and flag them so that we can take a closer look. Thank you. Yeah.
So I wanted to add that, so we're going to be looking at what they call disposition letters, where there is a charge made, and then from there they get a pre-disciplinary hearing, and then some type of determination is made what the discipline will be if they're found to be guilty of what they're accused of. So those investigations can either come through a citizen's complaint, but some of them go through internal affairs. So even if it's a criminal investigation in internal affairs, that case still has to go through administrative discipline as well. So, and some of the cases with IA, it hasn't gone through OPS and CTRB, so there hasn't been, oversight in terms of a civilian oversight body looking at it. So I think we'll have to figure out sort of like how we deal with those. But I think what I've been seeing, what we've been seeing as we've been looking at these disposition letters, so they can either sustain the discipline or they can depart from it. I think one of the things that we have to remember as a commission, and that if the community is not aware, is we do not need to have an evidentiary hearing manual for every type of discipline that we can do on this commission. In the charter, it states that in order for the chief or the public safety director to depart from discipline that has been assigned to an officer, they need what the charter calls clear and convincing evidence. And from what I've seen, it's not always there. So I think that, we've had internal discussions, and we believe that it's within our authority to just simply reverse discipline. With the absence of clear and convincing evidence, we just revert back to the discipline that was already handed over to the officer. So I think, as we are getting into this work, we're going back to the charter to figure out where do we need to have hearings and where do we not have to have hearings. I mean, if the discipline was handed down, you did not present clear and convincing evidence, then the discipline typically comes to committee, goes to the full commission, and is simply reversed. So, that's also something that we're looking at, working on. So then we can kind of move some of the stuff along, and in the process of doing this, going through these disposition letters, we'll be able to also flag, potential Brady Giglio violations, because it'll give you what they call the specification of the charges that are being, the officers are accused of. So we're hoping at this point we can move this along quickly, but, you know, we still have some issues, you know, with the records and things like that. Sometimes they're not always complete. So we're trying to work on that. So that's been an issue that we were under the impression that we had been given completed files for everything we requested, but as he's going through, some of these files, we're seeing that there are things that are missing. So we're trying to get those things, and unfortunately, we don't know if they're missing until we look. So that's kind of what we're finding.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I was asked to ask the audience, show of hands, do you understand the process we're discussing? You understand it? With the show of hands, do you understand it?
I don't understand.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that means, if you don't, then let us know so we can sort of review how we're presenting. If you don't understand, please raise your hand. If you do, raise your hand. Don't be shy. Okay.
I understand because I work in the legal profession, but other people.
May not know. Let's hear from those people by show of hands.
Chair,
Prim?
might I suggest that you do a flow chart to explain, make it simple?
Okay.
Yeah.
I said, but a bunch of heads doing like this. So I must say, that's the meeting. To the presenters, let's take that under consideration that we consider a flow chart.
Are there,
Hold it. Okay. Yes.
through the chair, are there any specific questions about what you just heard? Like any very specific things, words, terms, or concepts that you absolutely do not know what we are talking about?
There's a hand back there, and then we'll come up to, we'll recognize you by order of your hand.
If I can interject, she spoke, you spoke, and it all blended. And so there is nothing that was coherent based on what I heard. So I heard a whole bunch of stuff, but it was so, like, I'm still processing what you said, still processing what you said. Whereas for me, I would just like to understand what is the process.
And I see one of our commissioners, and we're not offended by that. That's why I think that Commissioner Kincaid inquired. We want to make sure that it's clear. Ms. Kirkman?
Yes. So when would the, community know when you all are showing, like the case which I was just talking about? When would the community get that, community day?
Anybody, to the executive director or the co-chair, you want to just, no, we put it on our website.
The way that it works in our rules and hearings manual. So, for example, we are working on it. This is the next case. This is the next one that we need to look at. So basically, this officially, the way that it works is Alex works on the case. And this is something that we've initiated, so it doesn't fall under you have 14 or 15 days, whatever it says, to get a case out because it was not brought to us. We found this out of the disposition letters. So what will happen is Alex just officially sent it to the accountability committee, so then now they have a couple weeks to schedule a meeting to basically discuss if it's going to move to the full commission. So that's sort of how the process works, is that it goes to the accountability committee. They have, I think, 15 or 14 days to have an actual meeting about it. And then in the accountability committee's meeting, they determine if they want to move that case towards a hearing, or if they want, in the situation of the case that we were just talking about, it was found that we do not feel that we need to move it to a full hearing on the committee. However, there was another violation that he found. And so from that point, we just simply have a hearing. So from the accountability patching it, then it comes to the co-chairs for us to schedule a hearing.
Ms. Kirkland, we're talking about a date. We had chosen one date, but it doesn't work. So we're looking at a date. We had tentatively talked about either the 18th or the 17th. But you will get a date on our website and probably on some of our Facebook pages about when we will be meeting. And that meeting will be announced as soon as we select the date. It will not be the day of, it will be days in advance. So monitor our website, and those of you who know members of the commission, call us. But for the public, for the broad public, we will it'll be on our website. Okay? Under our meetings, under our committee meetings. Yeah, the accountability committee. Okay? All right. Ms. Bickerstaff.
Okay, as the founder of the State of Cleveland, you guys really need to get this together. You should have this stuff on a projector, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. So it can stay in people's minds. When we went out and done issue 24, we put everything on a projector, everything on Facebook, everything on the internet, passed stuff out so it's clicking people's minds, okay? So you have these type of meetings, fine, put it on the projector so people can see what you're talking about, and they can write it down, or they can take it to themselves, or they can take a picture of it, just so they'll know. The way this is being done right now, come on, y'all.
Okay.
Get it.
We got you. Okay. Now that's a good suggestion. All right? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for your input. Appreciate you. Okay? All right. I told you we were going to change up protocol a little bit, break some rules. All right. To Chief Mason and Ms. Marino, anything else that you'd like to address regarding those issues? All right. Those are not action items. Those are information items. Okay? All right. Thank you. Our next item, our executive director will talk about something you just asked about, and that is the evidentiary hearing manual overview. Director?
Thank you. So I know there were some questions about process, and it wasn't clear to me sort of what the audience members were asking with regard to the process. Is it the underlying disciplinary process and how it gets to the CPC, or is it the CPC's process for determining the appropriateness of the discipline? Those are two separate considerations. I will be talking about the latter process. So the way that a complaint can come through to the CPC is various. One, it could come by way of a citizen-initiated complaint after going through the OPS CPRP process. And two, it could be sua sponte, that the commission has flagged to take up on its own to determine the appropriateness of it.
I'm so sorry. Mr. Director, could you please, for my sake as well, can you use the title in lieu of the acronym?
Sure.
Just
So like Cleveland Division of Police and Office of Professional Standards and Civilian Police Review Board, yes. There's way too many acronyms.
It's not an acronym. It's not an acronym. I get lost in the acronyms too, I'm sorry.
So, based upon this new process, what happens is the complaint comes through one of those two avenues. After that happens, the executive director is tasked with submitting a records request to the city within a set amount of days, 7 days. Under the court consent decree process, the city has a 21-day deadline by which to provide those documents. There's some discrepancies, as Co-Chair Adams highlighted, and there's also some issues with the initial production, frankly. After that comes about, the executive director then completes what's called a case package, which was formerly called sort of a case assessment or case analysis. The case package considers 1, a case summary, 2, case comparisons, 3, the full case file that was presented by the reviewing agency, 4, a review of possible commission decisions, 5, the jurisdiction of the CPC, essentially how it came about and how the CPC may hear the matter. And 6, any special circumstances or notations of the case that should be flagged and highlighted. After the case package is completed by the executive director, the case package is then submitted to the accountability committee, which is this committee. The accountability committee then has 15 days from the date the case package was submitted to meet and hear the merits of the case. Now, that is not necessarily the appeal phase. It's determined whether or not it should then go to the appeal phase. So when the accountability committee has that case package in front of it, and when it's considering the case package at the meeting, their guiding standard of review is whether the committee determines that the facts in a case provide a reasonable basis that may warrant the full commission to modify a disciplinary decision. The accountability committee has a few options at its disposal when it's considering the case package. One is to approve the review of the case for hearing in front of the full commission. 2 is a recommendation to the full commission not to review the case, not to set it for hearing. And 3 is if the committee is unable to make a recommendation due to the incompleteness of the file transmitted, then the committee is tasked with coordinating a meeting to make an affirmative recommendation to the commission based upon to determine the appropriate legal action that the commission should take. What that may be just depends on the circumstances of the matter, and it may look different based upon each matter presented. So how do we get now from the accountability committee to the full commission? There's various administrative tasks that the committee chair is required to do. The administrative tasks depend on if the accountability committee has determined to review the case or not review the case. In the event the accountability committee determines to review the case, the chair of the accountability committee is tasked with coordinating the calendar of the commission and the co-chairs and setting the hearing within 30 days after the date the committee passes it for recommendation for the hearing. There's also some additional notice requirements to ensure due process of the officers and the complainants involved. So the committee chair is tasked with sending notice to the officers, the union, the co-chairs, the complainants, and potentially other individuals that may be involved. If the accountability committee determines not to proceed with the hearing, the committee chair is then tasked with stating the reasons for the non-review and preparing a non-review motion for the full commission. In addition, the committee chair is required to send notices to the unions, the officers, and the complainants if the commission approves the non-review of the matter. And the last scenario, where the committee determines that it can't make a recommendation due to the incompleteness of the file, the rules provide that the committee shall make the recommendation as to what to do within 15 days of approving that recommendation. This is all contained in Rule 2.6 of the CPC, Community Police Commission's Operations and Procedures Manual, which is located online, and which we can disseminate more broadly if anybody has any questions. So then what happens next?
Oh, I can sit in public, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, I don't make it in the breath.
And if the chair would like to make this interactive, I'm happy to entertain that. It's at the chair's discretion. So I'll defer to Chair Pro Tem Nelson.
They get off their phone.
No, we're
We
trying
trying
to.
to come up with a date that you asked, but we
Okay.
got it to people.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is a different commission right here.
Okay.
This is a boxing commission.
Okay.
Seriously though, there are a number of questions, and we would like to give you an opportunity, since you took time out for the beautiful day to be here. We wanted to take time, we do have a little time, our agenda is moving quite rapidly. So let's just take about 4 or 5 questions, and you direct those questions one at a time. And, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Co-Chairman, Johnson, if you recognize the people who want to ask Alex questions, we're trying to get some things worked out. So if you just recognize them.
I'm not on your committee.
I know, you can do it that solid. Just recognize people so they can, they have questions for Alex. So you just recognize them.
Okay, who can talk for 15 days? That's too long. You guys should do that. You guys should do that within 24 to 72 hours.
What is that?
Wait a minute, hold on. Because first of all, I know how OPS works. It's already going through a long, drawn-out process, going through the investigation, doing the interviews, then they got to go to the Cleveland Police Review Board. That's a long process already. When the framers did this, we want the time shortened. We don't want the justice to be delayed and denied. When it's delayed and denied, I'm just keeping it real. 15 days is too long. Okay, maybe I'll be in too much to take 3 days. Okay, 7 days. 7 days. Okay, that's 15 days is too long. That's my opinion.
All right, questions? Yes, it's fun, but there may be another question before, maybe we can wrap them all. Yes, question? Dr. Go ahead, sir.
What gives you, I just need to know, what gives you the authority to go back 2 years and change my discipline? That's where I want you. You said that you're gonna go back 2 years and look at discipline. I wanna know what gives you that authority to go back 2 years and do something to my discipline that I've already taken.
Do you want me to answer? So I'll address both questions. So we have up to 15 days, up to 30 days. It does not mean that it will not happen beforehand. But that's the time frame we've set, and they're already moving as a committee to move earlier than that 15 days. So just because it says 15, like, we know where we are. We know that we need to get moving on this. The top priority for the commission, that's what our rules say, that's what we've had. And so, like, for example, you know, we're still dealing with figuring out if we have everything after looking into it. So we want to make sure we meet, you know, the deadlines, but I think the goal is to move quicker than what those timeframes are. And to the question back here. Go ahead.
So you have 5 people scheduled, somebody might be out of town, we might need to wait for them to come back. You know, people have to arrange childcare, people have multiple jobs, you know, well, we can't do our public meetings over Zoom due to state law. So I hear you, and I can assure you that we want to schedule these meetings as fast as possible, but also I think that each case deserves to have the full committee, or as much as the committee as possible. And what I would hate to see is if we had a really short deadline and somebody's out of town, another person, you know, can't make it. We have a number of committees. We can't have multiple committees running at the same time because we have a limited staff. We have one YouTube channel. We want to also make it possible for the public to participate. And so because of that, I hear you, and I think that your sense of urgency is warranted, especially because, you know, we passed this almost 3 years ago now, and we still haven't heard a case. So I think the urgency, the frustration is valid, and we will absolutely try to schedule the meetings in as short a time as possible, but also I think that each case deserves the full attention of the committee, and for each committee member to be able to be there, so that then we can give these cases everything they deserve. But I hear you.
I think up to 15 days.
To the committee, to the chair, we are actually trying to get a date now to be well in advance of the 15 days. So we do have up to, and we try to coordinate our calendars. We're looking to hold this meeting in much less than 15 days. we're just trying to coordinate our calendars, and this particular staff, that's what we're doing. We're talking on the phone, we're actually sending everybody.
Well,
dates.
I'm
Okay.
going by what I see.
You got dates.
and reality.
Okay. So committee members, check the dates that we just mentioned, and let me know.
So then that means that you guys stay on top of the disruption, and don't let that disruption keep putting you behind. That's what I want to see moving forward.
Next,
I just want to finish one,
anything further?
yeah, I just want to answer this question.
Chief, did that answer your question?
No.
No.
She didn't address that.
So Don was about to answer this question.
So through the chair, the authority comes from the charter and the union contract. So we have broad authority under the charter, but the mayor and the city have entered into a collective bargaining agreement with the police that says that there's a 2-year discipline window. So that's where that timeframe comes from.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, appreciate that. All right, Ms. Chief Mason and Mr. Nito, are you prepared to move on? Are you prepared to move on to the next item? Okay. We're going to switch 5 and 4 around. We're going to talk about Chief, the privilege of moving 5 around. To the executive director, did you get a copy of the, before the director actually makes his comments, Ms. Bolton, could you please, take the microphone? We have a real life situation, real time situation that will lead to, identify yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Attorney Kimberly Bolton, and I'm here to talk with you all about, a personal experience that I had, particularly with the vehicle pursuit policy. That policy is very tender to me, not only because of the impact that it has on the community, but the personal impact that it had on me. On August 28th, unfortunately, I was the victim of a vehicle pursuit. I have the scars from that particular collision that occurred on a Thursday afternoon at 2:30 p.m. on St. Clair Avenue. Immediately after the collision and I exited my vehicle, I'm looking at a child in a school uniform that is standing at the bus stop across the street from the collision. There are no schools over there, which means that that child could have been crossing the street as Euclid police pursued a vehicle from 200th Street all the way down to 124th Street in St. Clair Avenue. Had I not been an evasive driver, that would have been a head-on collision at a high-speed rate. The vehicle headed westbound on St. Clair. I'm headed eastbound on St. Clair, properly make a left-hand turn to continue on St. Clair. The vehicle jumps the double yellow line. I see the vehicle and stop. Had I not stopped, that would have been a head-on collision. I walked away. I have some scars, but I walked away. 2 days later, that collision, they didn't walk away. That could have been me. That was Memorial Day weekend, you all. There was a family that lost their life because you're chasing after a vehicle. How many people do you think it's worth to risk their lives to catch this person? Oh, and let me tell you, by the way, they never caught the guy. After they hit me, Euclid terminated the pursuit and never found the person that they were even chasing. If Cleveland doesn't do it, or if Cleveland is not supposed to do it, why is this happening in Cleveland? Why is Euclid in Cleveland? Why are Euclid doing things that Cleveland isn't even supposed to do? Now, I know that isn't proper grammatics, and I get taking English class. damaging our community, it's damaging our people. All the education, all the training, all the information I've had doesn't stop me from becoming a victim. The question is that who's gonna be the next one? And I'm gonna leave you all with that. Thank you.
Now, I want you all to know, Cleveland does have a pursuit policy. The issue is, what do we need to do to the committee chairs and to our, and we'll refer this to the policy committee, where it really be discussed. What we need to do about these cooperative agreements so we get more control of them. When I talked to Cleveland Police, they sent me a document and it talked about when they terminate chases. When they're not familiar with the territory, when it's during school hours, they have a whole list of things, about 17 pages. And so Cleveland is not violating their pursuit policy, but we have the sheriffs, talked to some sheriff's employees, and they said it is out of control. I'm glad to see our NAACP president here, so this issue can hit. I think it has already hit their agenda. And what we probably want to do, we may want to make some comments, but we have a policy committee, and that policy committee, and we'll refer this to the policy committee. Commission members, do you have any objections to us just referring what our concerns are to the policy committee so they can handle this?
Okay, I'm gonna just interject through the chair.
Go ahead, Doctor.
I think there's been a lot of work that's been happening on this policy. This discussion belongs in the policy committee, and I would recommend that if there are members of the accountability committee who want to have that discussion, the proper place to do it would be in the policy committee.
More importantly, we want the public to be able to engage the policy committee.
But we're in the process of working on this, and they've got a work group. If people are interested, they can join the work group. I think that work group is being headed by Commissioner Coleman and Commissioner Benito. And I know that they have been meeting, so community members are invited to come to that, to join the work group. That's what the work groups are for community members to be able to actually help and do the work. I just would be concerned about at least not having a policy chair here, because this is really their domain. Now, what I do think the accountability committee could do on the pursuits, I think the accountability committee, because it's about accountability and not the actual writing of the policy, I think the accountability should be monitoring that dashboard that they have. I was just reading an article the other day that said they just used drones again. So that's the accountability piece that I think this committee should be working on, because I don't know if anyone on this committee is looking at the dashboard, but anytime they fly a drone, they're putting it up on this dashboard, and we should be monitoring, what they're doing with these drones, and if it's following in step with the policy that we actually gave them.
Mr. Houston.
I'm gonna make this loud and clear for everybody. I was a victim of a gunshot to my head, okay? And I want you guys to really be careful on saying, stop chasing, okay? Be careful with that, because you do want to apprehend the people that's out here hurting other people, okay? So that's a slippery slope for everybody sitting in this room, and I sympathize with any family that lose their life, and they shouldn't lose their life doing pursuit. But at the same time, you want balance. You want to be safe in your community. So either you want the police to do their jobs, or you don't want them to do their jobs. It's a catch-22 there. Now, the young lady stated that she was vigilant and was able to swerve. I'm just telling everybody in the community to be more vigilant when you see these things taking place. Not saying that we can prevent it, but be more vigilant. You don't want your police and you don't want bad guys out here thinking that they're not going to get chased, because you're going to become a victim, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Houston. One thing I wanted to comment, I was talking to Attorney Stanley Jackson, who's representing the family who was recently lost their loved one in that police chase. They were chasing that person who had made a wrong turn. So I think Chief Mason is going to comment on this, because she also says we got to be balanced, but we have to make sure that the chase is worth the risk, okay? So that, Stan Jackson is pursuing a case involving a wrong turn. Chief, and then we'll go down the line. Chief Mason, and then I think we have, I saw two hands down the other end. Ms. Benita Marino and Ms. Syed. Commissioner.
Yeah, so I'm on the policy committee and I am working with Commissioner Coleman on this GPO. There's a couple of things that I want to give an update on where we are on this in the policy committee, but also to address your point, there's something about it that feels deeply unfair, and that is like one policy would apply to CDP or the Cleveland Division of Police, but then also you still have people from other departments who can chase in. The first, nothing compared to your experience, but the first week that I lived in Cleveland, I was like kind of driven off the road by a pursuit. I'm hard of hearing, so sometimes I don't hear the sirens coming behind me. And it came in so fast, I had never experienced it. It was my first week in the state of Ohio. I was shocked, I just had never experienced anything like it, and then other states and big cities I've lived in. So I hear you, I think it's scary, and the community is, I think as you guys demonstrated, really split on this issue. And so, but the specific thing about other departments coming into the city of Cleveland, we can't do anything about that because we can only set policies for the Cleveland Division of Police, but the people who have the power to actually set limits to what other departments could do would be city council. And so I would highly recommend that you meet with your council person and talk to them about, they could introduce an ordinance that says other departments may not chase in the city of Cleveland, and they could completely stop it. So I want you to know that. I also am happy to give both of you my cell phone number, and we can set up a meeting with myself and Tara, because your experiences matter, and I think that you both represent two sides of the issue that we're hearing from people. Where we are, we have a draft. The Division of Police gave us their draft of a pursuit policy. Now, we took that and we made updates to it, and then we put it out into the public with a survey to get people's perspective on our draft. Now, we got 1,200 responses, which we have never gotten more than maybe 30, and hundreds and hundreds of those responses were completed in less than 1 second, which made us think either somebody is just clicking through, or maybe a bot submitted a number of responses. So, but because we feel like this is such a serious question and the community is split on it, we are then going to work with the outreach committee to develop a new type of survey, and actually an in-person Canvas survey, so that we can collect stories and go into communities and hear their perspective from them directly to inform our decision. And I think that there's essentially 3 options that we could do. We could just kind of rubber stamp what the division gave us, which is not likely. We could create a policy that meets somewhere in the middle, that tries to limit when pursuits can happen, how they happen, what has to be considered. Or we can just say, no, we don't want pursuits. So we are probably trying to decide between options B and C. And honestly, I feel like we're a little bit stuck and we want to get more community input. And so that's why we're pausing on it, to take a little bit more time and get more community input. So that's where we're at. Commissioner Coleman and I are working on this. We're going to be working with the outreach committee to develop a community survey, like an in-person survey type, like in-person, like we're talking about going to grocery stores in different neighborhoods so that we can get kind of different populations, that kind of thing. So we're in the process of doing that. The policy committee meets on, is it the second? I believe it's the second Wednesday of each month at the CPC office. I highly recommend that you come to those meetings, but also I'm happy to give my contact information to anybody who's interested in talking about this, and we can set up a meeting with Commissioner Coleman and I.
I saw Commissioner Zay, Houston, and Chancellor, Mr. Snyder, goes to Miami, I forget.
Okay.
Commissioner?
Okay, thank you, Chair. First I'll say I believe that a referral of this matter to the policy committee is completely unnecessary, because as you hear from Commissioner Marrero-Benito, the policy committee is already working on this. And so we are in the accountability committee right now. If any of you in the public would like to discuss the pursuit policy, express your concerns, I suggest you reach out to Policy Chair Pete Van Leer and work group members, Commissioner Tara Coleman and Chandra Benito. I also want to say, Ms. Bolton, that your story touched me deeply. I could hear the impact that the experience had on you while you were talking. And the reality is, most people who believe that chases should occur at any cost, obviously have never experienced the devastation of a chase gone wrong. So it is, I believe that it is very easy to say they must chase if you've never experienced the outcome of a chase. And when my cousin was killed as a result of a police chase, she was killed in front of hundreds of children. And when I tell you, I went to view her body, and it was reminiscent of the Emmett Till photo. It was very disturbing. And she was a 13-year-old child, so I think that we need to really, this is just, I just think we need to really take our time and really dig deep and think hard when we give comments, and also as we draft this policy. Also, what else? I also had conversations with Stanley Jackson, and he told me that East Cleveland already has, their city council already implemented a law. It's called Committee's law. And outside cities cannot come into East Cleveland with police chases, and I think it's long overdue for Cleveland to have such a law. So, and yeah. So we did request to receive the MOUs between CPD and these other departments, and so we're waiting for those now. We will review those, but I think it's up to all of us to speak out and let City Council know how we feel and what we expect. So thank you.
Well, I'm going to say this real quick. Kevin Conwell, when chasers come into the city, like Euclid or other places, he has contacted their mayors and say, don't chase in our city. So, I'm just.
Mr. Houston and then Mr. Snyder.
Just to clarify a few things for people that may not know, there's always been a policy of suburbs having to contact suburbs to let them know that they will be in their suburbs or in their city doing a chase. Okay, that's always been on the book. Okay, it ain't changed. Period. It's always been on the books. They just don't do it. Now, what I would tell society, citizens, is to demand them to do it. Those are elected officials. Okay, they answer to you. You don't answer to them. The policy is already there. Cleveland knows it. All the suburbs know it. They just don't do it. And as a result, this young lady had a traumatizing experience, and as a result, somebody lost their life because what? The police departments are disregarding following protocol. Bottom line. And we all know that. You're disregarding it. You should not be in Cleveland chasing anything because you lose jurisdiction that way from the law standpoint. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Stein.
Yeah, some of the questions been answered by the other statements. We live in the age right now that's in the majority of technology on the done by AI. It is a very simple process to get statistics across the nation and see what city has the best statistics and then look at their policies and adopt that. It shouldn't be a long process. Now, I'm not familiar with policies are in place right now, but I can tell you for it to be a drawn out process, it's just really seemingly inconsiderate of the community at large. Now, there are spoke on jurisdiction. That's simple. If one city's in another city, they lose jurisdiction. So I'm not sure why it proceeded anyway. But that's all.
Now, let me address the issue. This is the hottest topic in our community. Hottest topic. It's been discussed everywhere. This meeting today, the reason it's included on this agenda is because many of you citizens said, look, I said you have a meeting, just a highlight. This is not to preclude or interfere with any other committee. All right? We're not talking about, this ain't about the committee, this is about the community. Right. What I told you all today is you're gonna get a chance to speak on every issue of your concern. So that's what we do, we listen. Now, the proper committee where this will be discussed in detail will be the policy committee. But to give you an opportunity to express yourself, not only to us, but to the community at large via our live stream, but the people out there in the live streaming world, this is an important issue there. So now, Ms. Kirkman, you asked, when can you find out when these things have been discussed? On our website, there will be a date set for the policy committee. In fact, today, the two of our commissioners may know that date. They can just reiterate the date. Make sure you're at that meeting, because this is your issue. We discussed it in ACP meeting the other day. It's not a parochial issue, it's a community issue. So make sure you attend the committee so that you can participate in that discussion. All right, Ms. Snyder, then we're gonna move on.
Another change, crashed in the subway
That's that,
3 hours ago.
but sheriff's are clear.
Deputies tried to pull over the car,
So,
crashed in the subway.
so this is what I just want to clarify something on these
So let me move on before we recognize anybody else. So, Mr. Snyder, his hand up again.
Thank you, sir, appreciate that. So as the young lady said, I think you reiterated, it's the policy committee that will be able to implement change. Is that correct, as I'm understanding? And then how long is that process? Because again, the point I was trying to make, it should not be about a process. How long does it take to adopt a policy and put a policy in place? I mean, we live in, again, the age of technology. Let's look at the statistics across the nation, see what cities have the best statistics, look at their policy and adopt that immediately. And then if you want to come up with something better than what that, then by all means. But in the meantime, instead of dragging feet through tape, let's get this thing done, and it's that the policy committee that can push that.
Okay, so there's a few things. The policy will be finalized under the policy committee. But I want to make sure that when we are concerned about these issues, that we are going to the right place.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to interrupt you. I open the floor for these people to come and express themselves. I gave them permission to talk about it. It's not being preempted from the proper committee.
No, I'm not, that's not what my statement was going to be. You interrupted me.
I want to give you the opportunity to express yourself because this is your concern. This is your community. Now, who finalizes it? This is not that place. I think I reiterated that quite clearly, that this is not the place where we decided in the, what did I say,
But all I want to say is, if the issue is someone coming into our city, that's something that you need to go to council for. The council, the city enters these memorandums of understanding with these other places. And so they have an agreement. And so that allows people from outside of our city to pursue in our city. And that seems like from what I'm saying, a lot of this is being done by the county sheriff, it's being by Euclid, other departments. So if that's the concern, that's where we need to go. If it's a situation where our police are chasing someone, and even if they go into another jurisdiction, we can hold them accountable for that. But we cannot hold them accountable if there's another jurisdiction coming into our city. So that's all I wanted to say, was that basically the city enters into that agreement. So if it's another officer from not a CDP, we can't do anything about it.
Okay.
Just 1 minute, can I say something?
Sure.
When an officer is in pursuit, per the Ohio Revised Code, it is called hot pursuit. As long as they are dealing with a crime at that time, they have permission to continue on into that city. I don't have to call, I will call that city to let them know I'm coming. But per the Ohio Revised Code, they can, hot pursuit, they can enter into our city. So I'm just saying, when we talk about different things, we gotta understand the whole piece of it, not just throw bits and pieces out there.
I appreciate that. So based on what you just said, Ms. Lady, you're saying that the policy change has to go through the Ohio Revised Code.
That's what we're working up under. They don't have nothing to do with the Ohio Revised Code.
And that's the understanding I want to get.
That's the state.
Okay. Thank you.
code number?
just, thank you.
Mr.
That's all you do.
Mr. Houston, as a commissioner.
Another thing that caught my attention just now, listening to everybody's different inputs, was one thing that I think we are missing the mark on, and I just want to iterate that out there. Misdemeanors are not considered true crimes. So running a stop sign or not having your signal on should not warrant a police check. Absolutely. Okay?
Depending on the policy.
Now, what should warrant, in my opinion, what should warrant a pursuit and a pursuit to apprehend murder, robbery, and rape. Okay? Those are brutal crimes. And you're looking at someone who did 16 years with all of those individuals. Some of them can be reformed and some of them can't. I stand here and tell you, some of them should never see the streets because they have no good in their hearts. I've worked on death row and I saw a lot of things from both sides of life. I've been home 18 years and I'm dissatisfied with a lot of things that go on with us as a community, with the police department, and with our country. Okay? We got to come to better common ground and be more logical about what we are trying to really do.
Thank you, Ms. Kirkman. Ms. Hannah.
I just wanted to, say, like, I'm just reflecting back in, 2007, when my son was murdered by the police. In 2006, Ms. Ferguson's son was murdered. And Cleveland had, a law that you're not allowed to shoot into a moving vehicle. In 2007, they murdered my son and they shot into a moving vehicle. So I'm saying that as to say that nobody obeys the law, the police, the sheriff. So that's what we're here to get everybody in compliance and to be held accountable for, because I'm just listening and I can just remember, when it happened to Angelo and, everyone coming around me and then I find out that it was a law and the city didn't even, hold John Lundy accountable, because it was a law that was created in 2006. But they did the exact same thing to my son that it wasn't supposed to do.
And to back her up on that law passed when my brother got killed by the police, when Carl Mason got shot in a car at the age of 16. So you can look that up. That was done in 2002. They said, don't shoot at cars. Her son got killed in 2007 too. Now, let me think about it. Let me just run through the consent decree for a minute. And I'm gonna come off of it. You see what we talking about? That's why the consent decree needs to stay until they get 100% compliance. And they're still at 47%. So I'm gonna press on that.
Okay, all right. This will be the last comment, and then we're going to move to the next agenda item.
I think we need a motion to extend the meeting also at 7:37.
Yeah, okay. Is there a motion to extend our meeting another 15 minutes?
I move to extend the meeting for 30 minutes.
Is there a second? Well, we have to check with we have to check. Hold a minute. We first have to check with our host. Mr. Host, 15. Okay, we can wrap this up in 15 minutes. The host may throw us out. Okay. Good. Go ahead.
So what I wanted to.
You made the motion to extend the meeting. Someone second? Okay. Voice vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No opposed? All right. We'll extend it with permission of the host another 15 minutes. All right?
Okay, so, I just wanted to say a couple things. So the first thing I think would be the easiest thing for me personally to answer, and I think I can speak on behalf of everyone here. I understand what you're saying about, just moving things forward, right? We see a problem, we all agree that it's a problem. Why can't we just change the problem? And unfortunately, that is just not the way the bureaucracy works. Even when we create a policy, it has to go through multiple channels before that policy is even enacted. And I'm sure that we would love to just say, these are our policies and we are correct. but that is not the way that the law is set up in our favor. But the things that we can do, as my colleagues have stated, are going to the proper places, as well as speaking in this forum, because I personally really appreciate this, because I think that it is important for all of our meetings, and I think that we should set some of those in place more often, where we can have dialogue with the community, where you guys can talk to us about what's actually happening on your side of things, because we are also experiencing community life. We all live in the city of Cleveland. I have been victim to a police chase as well. I've witnessed police chases that have gone very, very poorly, and it is very, very traumatizing. And so this is just one of the many issues I think that we do need to talk about on a, consistent basis and in a forum like this. But to what you're saying, it isn't just as simple, unfortunately, as us taking statistical data from other places and implementing it. As far as our policy committee, I think that my colleague did express that the policy committee was actually yesterday. The policy committee meeting, this so happened to be yesterday. And so the next policy committee meeting will be in 30 days. So the charge that I am taking, because I also do really think that there needs to be a little bit more interconnectedness between our committees, and kind of like what we talk about that intersects between all of them. But I also do want to speak on behalf of the commission and say that we are a working commission, but we all have, this is not our full-time job. Although it is a very big job, it hasn't been created, a space hasn't been created for us yet where this is what we can focus on full-time. And so we have to work around the time that we have left. I mean, many of us are educators, judges, lawyers, police chiefs. We do have one retiree here. And she dedicates a lot of her time to this. And so, I think I speak for all of us, when I say that. And so as the chair of outreach, one of the things that I will be doing, unfortunately, we have a staff member who is out, and I hope she's okay. But what I will be working on is updating our website and our social media pages with some interactive content that'll give you kind of an overview of the meetings that we had, and then an update on the next meetings we intend to have. And it'll be a little more accessible than always having to visit the website. And again, that is something I'm working on in my time, which I plan to make more available in the near future. So.
All right, our time is running short. We have one other commission. You need to keep your comments, but we have one agenda item left. So if you keep comments short, we can get through the meeting without.
Really quick, I just want to just put it out there, just make sure everyone understands that in each and every commission meeting, community members have the opportunity and chance to speak and have their voices be heard. So don't think that if you go to the policy committee meeting, you won't be able to speak, because they have, I think last time they made it, not the last meeting, but the one meeting I attended, there were 2 public comment sections. So you will be able to voice your concerns. Last year, we hosted a vehicle pursuit forum at the Collinwood Recreation Center. Impacted family members were there. We had experts there. Everybody got a chance to speak. What I'm seeing from this is we may need to hold a part 2 to that vehicle pursuit forum. So that may be in the works. Thank you.
Okay, just real quick, this is for Ms. May. I recall years ago, the police had policy when they pulled their firearm out, that they were trained to, if they wasn't in immediate danger, they were trained to wound the victim.
We are never trained to wound. I've been in law enforcement for 30-something plus years. I've never been taught to wound anybody.
So everything's killed?
That's it. Yeah. If I pull my weapon and you have your weapon, my job is to shoot and kill.
Well, I think I may have missed it then. If they're running away, you still shoot?
If they're running, can you shoot in the back?
Right.
Now I'm in trouble.
That's what I'm asking.
Hold on, little order.
Now, if they're fleeing, they're still getting shot. So,
but that's a policy we have to put together. That's something we have to look at, and we have to, everything is a policy. Right. And the problem is enforcing that policy. And that's what this group is here to do, enforce those policies.
Correct.
But discussing the reason why we're doing it. So if I'm taking my weapon out, actually, if I'm approaching you on a car, I can go low red.
Right, that's correct. You should go low rate.
Because I don't know what you got
Right.
in your car going on.
Correct.
That's low red.
Correct.
But if you start moving in your car,
Correct.
I can now go up.
Okay.
And so there are procedures that are in place that we have to utilize
So,
for the safety of the officer and the safety of
so
the.
then,
All right, so I'm gonna cut you, hold it. Gerald, I'm gonna cut the conversation, we have 1 minute. And we have one agenda item to go, it's an action item. All right, this time we're going to move to we're gonna skip number, Chief Mason has allowed us to move from number okay, move number 4, we'll move number 4 to our next meeting, and, we're going to now go to election of our chair. For this committee, this committee does not have an actual chair, it's current chair pro tem. So at this time. Right. You should wait, who's president? Okay, that's fine. Okay. That's fine, we can defer that, all right. Now, for the purpose of the committee, I'm not interested in the chairperson. I've asked the chair pro tem for this meeting to make it chairperson, because I have a certain philosophy. Hold on, let me finish. I have a certain philosophy about board work, the staff. That's not likely to change, so I'm gonna leave that there, okay? Mr. Rena, your hand is up.
I understand that, Commissioner Tur isn't here. I think we should just go ahead and vote because, because we haven't had a chair yet, I think it will make scheduling easier, and kind of get everybody on the same page. So I am interested in being chair. Oh, no, I haven't formally said anything,
Floor is
so I'm
open
just.
for nomination, the chair of the chair. I do acknowledge the concern that co-chair Sharina Zayas has expressed, and it may come up as you go through your nomination process, you may want to defer. For the purposes, it's on our agenda, we will open it up for nomination.
I select Sharina,
Why am I the one doing it?
I don't know, because you sitting in front of me, move.
All right. Floor is open for nomination.
I'm sorry.
I will nominate Benito.
Yes. You know, when I got married and I added the hyphen, I did not realize how much harder my name would become for everybody to say.
We have one name, not one person in nomination. Is there any other nominations? Is there a motion for nomination to close? Is there a motion for nomination to close?
I move to close nomination.
All right, we have one candidate, Sharina, Sean.
Benito.
All right, I'm going to call the roll. Chief Mason.
Aye.
Let's see, gotta go down to Mr. Kincaid,
Aye.
and I vote aye. 3 ayes, no nays.
I also vote aye.
Four ayes. Okay, the ayes are Kincaid, Mason, Nelson, and Benito. All right, Madam Chair, congratulations. All right, is there a motion? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
All right, the move to adjourn.
Adjourn.
All right, no opposition, we are adjourned.
Let me holler at you first, make sure, let me holler at you for a minute.
So why you don't want